What have I done? What have I become? I can't describe this. This is my mid-mic crisis.
Hello and welcome to the Mid-Mic Crisis. I am Bunchu alongside my esteemed colleague and co-host, Chamber. Chamber, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing excellent today.
Oh, wow.
We have a special guest today.
A friend of the show, even, some might say.
Yeah, some people may say that.
Yeah. I'm not sure he would.
I was gonna say, I don't think he would, but some people may say that.
Yeah,
but it got me.
You and I would.
100%. It got me thinking, and I had something come up over the holidays that I didn't get the chance to talk to you with. So last time, I'll cut to the chase here. We have Eric joining us from AI Mystic to talk about AI agents today, and it's going to be phenomenal. But the last time he was on the show, he created an AI agent in my likeness.
That's right.
I think called Chamber.
Yes.
And it was a Sasquatch Bigfoot PFP. I think is what we used.
That's right.
So over the holidays, so a long story short, over the holidays, are you familiar with Survivor Man, Les Stroud? Okay.
Yeah.
Canadian, lives actually very close to my hometown. He got into a couple years ago, like the Bigfoot world. It was, because he was out in the wilderness so much, came across some things that were, suspicious to him. So he's got a GoFundMe right now. He's doing another kind of Survivor Man Bigfoot documentary that he's trying to put out on his own. And I don't know if you're familiar with GoFundMe's, but there's different tiers and you can get like different stuff, right? So the top tier, and I want to know if this is money well spent. Okay.
As in, like, you may donate?
I may donate. Oh, yes.
Okay,
I've already donated. So I'm already at
right.
a certain tier. But the top tier is $10,000. Okay. So that's the...
Okay.
Right? Already, I feel like that's a number that we...
Brother, if you say that it includes a Sasquatch hunt, I say go for it.
It 100% includes a 3-day personal trip with Les into the woods to search for Sasquatch.
That's a no-brainer.
Right?
No-brainer. Wow. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Are you doing this?
I think Eric has sealed the deal for me.
I think you should. And let me tell you something. I got a little bit of a possible prediction here that depending on how the hunt goes and where Chamber is positioned with Les may actually find Chamber.
Yes. I think Chamber, if you do this well enough and go stealthy and while you're on this hunt and then kind of just appear at the end, you may get a successful Sasquatch hunt in which
I see viral videos coming out of this all day.
I love it. I also get a film credit on IMDb.
Wow.
Which
get your SAG card, man.
Absolutely. Got to get one of those.
You know what they say, Chamber, less is more. So I think you're lining up really nicely for the trip of a lifetime.
All right. So, all right. Okay.
The only thing I think could possibly give you more value is if for $10,000, you got to actually film the Sinbad Genie movie that you wanted to bring to life. That doesn't exist.
That is a good one. So the 10 grand I have earmarked. I was heavily contemplating going to get the turkey surgery. I don't know if you're familiar with the turkey surgery.
What the hell is the turkey surgery?
So the turkey surgery is you fly to Turkey, all expenses paid.
Oh, like Turkey the place, not Turkey the animal. I was like, wow, this is going somewhere I was not expecting.
So would be to get a new lawn for my dome. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You have a chrome dome?
I do have a chrome dome. Yeah. It's very reflective.
So listen, my father also did, but he said something that I will never forget, which is that God only made a few perfect heads and the rest he covered with hair.
That's a fair point. That is a fair point. I have very few flaws on the head. So
now, Chamber, if you do not want to be confused for Sasquatch on your hunt with Les. You just don't wear a hat and you'll be good to go, right?
Yeah, that's a good point too, actually. So,
yeah, so make sure you do the turkey
grand,
surgery. Make sure you do the turkey surgery after the Sasquatch.
It's one or the other. I don't have 10 grand to be throwing all over the place.
I'm surprised you have 10 grand at all.
I really don't. But
all the meme coin trading we're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
a couple more Jupiter airdrops and we'll be okay.
Mayhem says
going to Burning Man this year, so you got a lot of choices.
Okay, all right.
There you go. Is that what Burning Man costs? I don't even know. Mayhem loves your sweater.
Depends on how you roll.
I dig in that sweater too.
Yeah.
That was the next comment I was going to make. Was your sweater game is sweater and hat game on point today?
It kind of matches today. I try to,
Yeah.
I'm not any cooler. My kids make me feel less and less cool every day. So
I'm looking like a VC wannabe degen.
I like it. I like it.
Eric's looking suave as usual. So let's get into it. I think you should go on the Sasquatch hunt. This sounds like a dream come true. Now, I do need to know what the difference in tiers is before we get started. So, like, what's the low level tier? Like a couple $100, and what do you get for that?
No, I think it was like $20. You get like direct to download, like you can watch the movie I think before everybody else. There's different tiers where you get t-shirts and hoodies and stuff like that.
And then at the next level it's $1,000 and Les will just call you and do Sasquatch ASMR.
That's right. Something like I think so.
Cool. I dig it. All right, let's get into it. We got lots to cover today, talking about one of my favorite topics, which is AI and specifically agents. So, Chamber, we've been hearing left and right that 2025 is the year of the AI agent. We are in a world in which Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson are doing AI agent commercials out on television. So the future is here, and no better place or person to talk to about it with than Eric from AI Mystic. So Eric, welcome back. Now, the first question is, would you say you're a friend of the show?
I would actually. I would.
Okay,
I would.
Wonderful.
So for your what's the word I'm looking for? Not yeah. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But imagine there was this word
that was like his really. That was really.
Yeah, you guys thought this was a good word. That one you're thinking of. Man, I've actually had a number of people reach out to me because of the podcast. And one of them became an investor and an advisor to the company.
Wow, look at that.
So thank you guys.
Can we put that on our highlight reel, Chamber? That
highlight
reel.
Yeah. Come
we've actually made 2 highlights
to get your investors. Yeah.
We've made 2 highlights this week. We appeared we appeared on Mika's quick little what do you call that, sizzle reel for her AI 16Z interview, and now we are learning here that we are connectors of the AI world. So that makes me happy. I'm pretty pumped about that. So I'm very pleased to dig into kind of round 2 here with you. So for anybody who did not see our first episode with Eric, I would encourage you, Chamber, do you know what date that was? It was probably it was October, maybe?
October 5th. I will get you the exact date.
So somewhere around October, we had Eric on for the first time and did a very, very thorough dive into agents, kind of how they work, how Eric thinks about them specifically in terms of what he's building with AI Mystic. And we did an awesome demo, and that whole interview is probably almost 90 minutes long. So if you do not know anything about AI agents, I would recommend you start there because it was a really great, informative episode. But for this episode, we will kind of do a little quick recap of, what are agents, how should people be thinking about them? And then we'll talk a little bit about, more in depth about the progress that Eric has made on AI Mystic, where it currently is at, and just like where he sees the world of agents going. And I guess at the end of this, we'll be able to answer the question, is 2025 really the year of the agent? Chamber, you ready?
I couldn't be more ready.
We've already heard from Eric that he was born ready, is what he said in the pre-show.
He did say that.
He's #built different, so we are ready and raring to go. Eric,
what do they call it now? Founder mode.
Oh yeah, you're dressed like founder mode. You've got founder mode. You look like you just dumped your cappuccino over your tech support.
It's actually cold.
It's cold
in Orlando.
Finally cold down there.
Yeah, finally. Yeah, it's like it was cold. Yeah.
All right, so give people a primer. If they've never heard of an AI agent before, if they've never used, any of these frameworks or built anything on their own, like what is an agent? Quick, high level, and how should people think about them in terms of, how they work? What's the difference between an agent and, ChatGPT, for example?
So I think there's a lot of confusion about it right now, and people are making up their own definitions of what they call an agent, and we are too. I mean, we're in that boat of, we're doing things with our agents that we don't see other people doing. But generally speaking, there's first the concept of the model, or the large language model in this case we're talking about, and then those models get used usually in an application like ChatGPT. So ChatGPT puts all the stuff around the inference engine, the large language model, that make it a chatbot. So now you can talk to it. So then the question becomes, okay, well, what's the difference between a chatbot and an agent? And really, the way I look at it is that they're just doing more, really. I think a lot of people would say agents have access to tools where they can actually do things and not just talk about doing things. And so I would say that's kind of it. That's the difference between a chatbot, something you can just talk to. It can come up with all kinds of ideas. It can write an email for you. It can write a business plan for you. It can do all those things in that little chat window that you're in. But then when you say, hey, email the business plan to me, it goes, does not compute. I cannot do this because it's a chatbot, and it only has it only has that software, that it gets to run with. Whereas an agent will be able to start doing things. So an example of that, big brouhaha came out yesterday. OpenAI released tasks. I don't know if you guys, anybody keeping up with the news with OpenAI?
I've got some tasks set up to periodically throughout the week send Chamber some words of affirmation. He suffers from adult male loneliness, so I've got it set up every couple days just to remind Chamber that I love him and things like that. So that's the first task I set.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's kind of it. I would say, that's how agents work, and everybody that's working on agentic systems, they're different kinds of tools that they're giving them access to do different things. So
the TLDR is
that you can do.
Yeah, the TLDR then, if I heard you correctly, is don't just talk about it, be about it. And that's the difference between the chatbot and the agent. I've always thought as well, like one extra piece of that in my definition has always been kind of like the memory piece, right? And I think some of these, so like a ChatGPT is kind of that the memory system in ChatGPT is kind of evolving, but originally it had zero memory and zero context between chat windows. And I think part of the agency and being able to do something is kind of also remembering the context and things that it's done. So I always kind of define an agent as those two things, right? Is the ability to use tools and do things, and then the ability to kind of remember either you or the things that it's done or whatever, right? And you kind of have that.
And maybe I oversimplify it, but in my mind, I think of memory as a tool.
Yeah, that's actually a great point. So
memory is just another tool. And in fact, in the first in the ChatGPT, within that application, what they would do is they would take the last n number of messages and they would feed it automatically with your prompt. So whatever your prompt was, and then they would prepend the message that went to the LLM, the GPT. and it would include those previous messages. And in that way, it was given memory. But it was fairly limited because what would happen is it would run out of its context size. And so for those that are just learning about this, context size, you can kind of think of it like RAM in your computer. It's a space that that can hold so many tokens, so much information. And if it exceeds that, the amount of information you're trying to give to the model, it can't work with it. It can only take up to so much memory or so much information.
Yeah, so it's kind of a memory, quote unquote, hack, right? Like it's kind of pseudo memory. It's not. There's much more, I would say, sophisticated techniques now that people are using in these agentic systems like RAG. And gosh, I'd love to hear your thought on that. Like, how is memory the hardest part of this to kind of get right? I've seen people
hard.
struggle with that. Yeah,
it's pretty hard. I mean, we've evolved a very sophisticated memory system in AI Mystic because we had to. We started with the kind of basic one that like we just talked about in the ChatGPT system, but then very quickly we wanted a permanent record. So that meant we had to start taking all of those messages and storing them in a database instead of just keeping it temporarily and handing it to the model. So we started the first outside memory system, in addition to the kind of one we just talked about, was a RAG system using vector search. So this is where you can do a similarity search as opposed to a string search, a search for a specific number of strings. You can look for things that are similar to what you're searching for, even if they don't sound or look the same in text. So that is one of the ones that I think gained a lot of popularity. People were spinning up Pinecone instances and running, RAG. But as soon as they did, they found out really quickly that they had all kinds of challenges, which starts with the data pipeline, how you do the embedding or the encodings for what you have to store in this vector database. So it's a way of doing it, but then very quickly you find its limitations because RAG, which stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. So the generation part is the model. It's a generative model. It makes these tokens or words most people see. But to inform it better, this concept of RAG was that you could, in theory, search this database for a bunch of messages and then take those and give it with your prompt. In the same way of the previous one we talked about, where it was just the previous messages. But now we can do things like, if I talked about canoeing 6 months ago, then it may search the similarity search for also conversations I had about boating, also conversations I had about rowing, also conversations I had about nature. And would bring a bunch of these to the, in a search result. But now you got another problem. Man,
which one's right?
Yeah, which one is the one that you really care about? Because if it's a lot, you can't give them all to the model. So then there's different techniques like doing a ranking, a K ranking for all of these things that tell you how close is it, how similar is it to what you were searching for. But again,
Yeah,
that's a whole ball of wax, man. It's a pain.
Totally. And I found that's kind of one of the biggest challenges with these agents in terms of kind of reliability and things like that, outside of, the actual usage of, what we might think of as the tools outside of the memory, right? So a really easy way to think about what Eric just said in a very smart way, I will say in a very dumb way. We've got a chat that says, tell me about Les's Bigfoot hunt, and it goes into the database and is looking for Sasquatch and returns the actual Sasquatch, Chamber, and me. And then it looks at that and says, which one's the closest to what you were looking for? And sometimes it's going to return Chamber because that's just kind of how it works. And that's kind of what Eric's describing as like the limitation of it. In theory, it should go find all those things about actual Sasquatch, but sometimes it might find the Sasquatch lookalike, right? Like
I've run into it a couple of times, even just using like ChatGPT. Like if I ask it, like, hey, what are the because I use it for the show so much, I'll ask it, what are the top AI and tech podcasts out on the on the market right now?
Who's the cutest host?
It will give 4 fantastic shows and then us.
Yeah.
So it will, because I talk about it or because I it knows the show, part of the memory incorporates it into maybe some results that aren't necessarily accurate.
ChatGPT is a little bit of a sycophant, so
yeah.
Awesome. All right, so you've got a good definition now and a good baseline of what agents are. What's the difference between that and a ChatGPT or the normal kind of AI chatbots that you're seeing out there? Next question for you before we get into some real specific AI mystic stuff. Why are people, in your opinion, all saying that 2025 is the year of the agent? Do you believe that? Where are we in this kind of exponential curve we've been witnessing? And what are your thoughts there just about kind of where we are now in the world of AI versus kind of even where we were 3 months ago when we spoke?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it has a lot to do with the technology itself. And, we have a lot of convergence happening right now where things that were being worked on in one discipline or domain and another one are coming together, and then they magnify each other. So the large language models themselves have, grown at this incredible rate. The compute underneath it, NVIDIA coming out with more crazy horsepower constantly, and the networks themselves and all the devices that we're working on. I mean, remember what we're doing right now, you couldn't do well 10 years ago, and if you did, it was with a, serious studio setup and satellite uplink and whatever. But now we have these tools that allow us to do stuff, with the technology that we have now. So I think, back watching the Jetsons when I was a kid, an old cartoon for anybody that doesn't know, they envisioned agents. They had a robot that flew around, did the clothes, did the laundry, did all the things. And I don't think anybody's stopped thinking about those things. In other words, with all this AI talk, people want them to do something for them, right? So it's one step was even getting to the point where you could talk to a computer. And that happened with the ChatGPT. It was the first time that most people on the planet Earth ever had a conversation with a computer that actually seemed like they were talking to somebody. Mm-hmm. And then once that got to the point where people, I think, understood it pretty well, they started saying, wow, there's a lot of applications to this. And they didn't have to spend $1 billion training a model. They being people like us that are, working on the next level. What can you do with it? So now you have this powerful tool. You got this amazing engine. And this engine, what do you put it in? Do you put it into a plane with wings? Do you put it into a boat? Do you put it into a car with 4 wheels? Do you put it in a motorcycle with 2 wheels? I mean, you want a tractor? You're going to do some farming with it. So the same thing is true with the amazing advances with these models, now the question becomes, what do you want to do with it? And that's what the agents are giving us. They're giving us all these opportunities. And plus, we're humans. We have this habit of anthropomorphizing everything. Everything is like a human, in some way. So I think that's why, and I just think we're here. We're at that tipping point. And certainly over 2 years ago, we were already working on multi-agent systems because we saw that's where it was going to go. The technology wasn't quite there yet to actually make these things do something substantial, but we're there now.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I wonder, what is the feeling that you have been working on this for so long? And even like you just mentioned, 2 years ago, you're working on multi-agent systems that probably felt like the Stone Age compared to what you could do now. What is that? And you specifically, you've been working with tech and computers for decades. How does it actually make you feel that we're right on the precipice of the things you dreamed about as a kid, and just the speed at which some of this stuff is happening now? Does it kind of blow your mind, or were you like, oh, we were always going to get here? Or are you surprised it didn't happen sooner?
This may be a boring answer, but I'm kind of a big believer that things happen exactly as they ought to. So, I guess how I feel about it is satisfied. I'm very, I told you guys this story last time about being, in a class in high school and a teacher coming in and reading us this paper from Ray Kurzweil predicting that within 50 years, mankind would accumulate over 97% of all information available in the entire universe. So since 1985, I've been thinking about that. I mean, here I am all these years later repeating this thing. It was a very formative moment in my life. And I realized that date, for me, would have been around 2034, 2035. And I mean, it's 2025. And Ray Kurzweil updated his own prediction to 2029 for the singularity. So yeah, I'm just every day I wake up and I'm just fascinated by the world around me. I'm just the most curious person that I know. And it's a joy every day to get up and play with these things.
That's super cool.
I do have a follow-up question, just based on your curiosity and your ability to recall things from your childhood. You mentioned the Jetsons earlier. I might be the only other person on this.
I know the Jetsons.
Okay, I was going to say,
of course, I know the Jetsons.
So my question to you: did it ever come across? So, when I would watch Jetsons reruns, I was always fascinated with what was occurring below the cloud line, because the cars float, but the homes are on stilts.
Yeah, they're on a spike kind of thing.
They're exactly. They're on they are touching the ground at some point. But you do not know what horrors are happening on the ground in the Jetsons. They had to elevate.
I think it was just LA. I think it was just LA smog, man.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, they just had to get up.
I was always, what the hell is happening on the ground in the Jetsons? I couldn't stop thinking about it.
I've never heard anyone say that in my entire life, and I will never not think about it. So
the cars fly. The houses were not flying. The houses were touching the ground, and what the hell was on the ground?
Yeah.
Okay. Before we get into some AI Mystic specific demo stuff, I want to get your opinion on a couple things. I mentioned earlier that we're in this phase of the world now where this stuff is starting to go mainstream. We've got Salesforce doing commercials with Matthew McConaughey talking about AI agents in your business. And there's also this like
Did it go AI?
there you go, nailed it. AI. That's a McConaughey deep cut for those not in the know. We got Jetsons. We've got Jetsons references and what's the movie? What is the movie?
Wolf of Wall Street.
No.
Oh, that's
all right. No.
Oh, sorry. No. Dazed and Confused.
That's it.
Chest pounding was Wolf of Wall Street.
That's right. Wolf of Wall Street, yeah.
So we've got Salesforce commercials about AI in your business. We've got this kind of like crazy phenomenon that's happening right now in crypto, where I feel like this happens in crypto a lot, where crypto people think they invented this stuff, and now like they think they've invented AI AGI. Yeah, you're right, exactly. So the my question is, my question is like, what is possible today currently? Like, is what we're seeing from like Salesforce touting about like using this in your business and running like a business on this stuff, is it possible, today or in 2025, in your opinion? And then let's start there. Then I have one follow-up question, and we can get into some demo stuff.
Well, I think, the devil, as they say, is in the details. So like the phase that we're in right now, we've built some really cool stuff, but we still have to put it to work within a company. So I'm spinning up a design partner program right now, and we have 3 of like the 6 or 7 that we're going to take on, and they're in very different industries. Now, we're not Salesforce, who already has an installed base of many millions, of people and companies. But neither here nor there, it doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, I'm personal friends with one of the largest Salesforce engineering companies and outsourced companies that help businesses get stood up with Salesforce, and they program on it. They've been using Einstein for a long time. And it takes an entire service provider network to help businesses, because every business has their own stuff, right? And we're not yet at the point where these agents can kind of do it all. In the same way, a smaller analogy that I could use for this is writing software applications. So there's been all this brouhaha about, the Devons of the world and the, Cursor and some of the other ones that have come out. And, if you talk to any senior engineer that's used those systems, they'll tell you, well, they're nice, and, they can help with code completion and stuff, but they're not writing full stack software applications, not complex ones. And they're, unlikely to be capable of it for a little while longer. Will they get there eventually? Absolutely, yes. I bet lots and lots. I am betting a lot on it, because frankly, that's what we're building, is an AI programmable application framework. So we very much want our agents to build entire useful applications. But who are they building them for? They're not building them for themselves. They're building them for people that have some need. So right now, even my own business, I'm using AI Mystic to do things within my business, but it can't currently run everything. But I do have workspaces helping me with legal and corporate housekeeping. I have workspaces helping me with product development. I have workspaces helping me with marketing. I have workspaces helping me with, content generation. I have workspaces helping me with employee onboarding and things like that. So, there's parts and pieces that I'm in these workspaces. And, you mentioned about RAG and it not being a panacea. Well, hell, we have a 3-tiered memory system that includes not only the similarity search with a vector database, but we do this Wink.js BM25 full text search, and we have a knowledge base in wiki format. So our agents are accessing all 3 of those on every message. and it helps them be smarter overall. But what we want is we want to be able to trust them before we can give them autonomy. You don't.
Autonomy was my next question.
Yeah, man. It's like letting somebody drive your car. It's like if you don't trust them, you're not going to let them. Sure, they might be able to drive it, but are you going to give them the keys? Well, maybe not.
So autonomy is, I would say, probably like the end goal, right? Like, I think
100%. It is for me.
And I think like what we're seeing, because my follow-up was about autonomy, and then I think like where potential use cases for what we're seeing in like blockchain and crypto with AI come in. And so I was going to ask you, like, if you had an opinion on these AI agents that are coming to life with their own token, and how you could see that being used in potentially a world in which they could operate totally autonomously.
Yeah, so far the things that I've seen are it reminds me of historians, people writing the history of some event that happened, and they always frame it their way with whatever biases they come with. So, somebody reporting on a chatbot pitching meme coins and doing that kind of stuff, and then they're reporting on how awesome it was for them. They oftentimes are just omitting some of the hard truths about what also happened with it. Right. And so I think there's a natural bias when we read these blog posts or watch podcasts like this. I'm probably less likely to spend a lot of time talking about all the crap that didn't work for us or all of the bugs that we faced, because people are excited about the stuff that works and they're not as excited about the stuff that doesn't work. But it's a valid part of the discussion. But back to your question of whether or not this is a valid use case, I 100% think that it is. But again, the devil's in the details. It's like, and frankly, you and I talked about, you showed me that one, what was that one chatbot you showed me that was running on like Discord or something?
Oh man. Oh, the meme coin one. What is it called? Rick. Yeah, Rick.
Yeah.
The one that can look up all the contracts and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, like, even the way you talked about it, you personified it. You talked about it doing these amazing things, looking up these contracts and doing all this work to present the main details of the contract in this special format. And when I digested it all, I was like, well, yeah, this is a very simplistic routine.
Totally.
What it's doing, we can do right now, immediately. I told you we could do it with AI Mystic because it's not very complex. But compared to opening up the contracts and you having to scroll through and find all the stuff versus this thing just putting it up on your screen, it just seems like a miracle.
Totally.
But when you're a kid and you go into kindergarten and you sit down in front of the teacher who for the first time teaches you that 1 + 1 = 2, well, that's like, whoa, who is this magician in front of me? Totally. But it's just because you're not familiar with it yet. That's all.
Yeah.
So I think that's true for a lot of what we're seeing in the space is people are unfamiliar. I hear it all the time, brother. I actually
think this is a great point because I think I think what you just described is happening a lot in terms of like, folks being totally mind blown about these agents with tokens that can do a thing, right? And when you and I think that could potentially skew their opinion on like, hey, is this an investable thing or should I buy this token? And that's potentially scary, right? In terms of like, just because they don't understand kind of how simplistic some of them are, and some of them do really, really great things with a ton of awesome data pipelines and tool calling and all this stuff that we're talking about. And some of them are basically chatbots with a Twitter account, right? And it's if you're not educating yourself, it's hard to know the difference, I would say. So I think it's a great point. I also think there's a really interesting use case with the agent token thing in terms of autonomy, when like, okay, the agent is going to be acting totally on its own to do X, Y, and Z thing, and its job is to accrue value to that token, right? For a community or a specific use case, or even eventually we'll probably see agent to agent commerce, right? Like I would think we're definitely going to see that at some point. So I think like blockchain is interesting.
Entire companies are being built around it.
Yeah.
Entire companies are being built around, building a network for being able to hire out the agents that you develop, or hire agents from this network of agents that are maybe running on different platforms, and they're trying to create, common frameworks so that they can share memory, for example, and they can share, their experience.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's a whole world that's blowing up right now.
All right. Well, let's talk about what you're building, because this is super exciting. We saw a little bit of a demo of it last time. And I would say compared to where I think you're at, it's, almost night and day in terms of advancements and what you guys are working on and building. So I'm super excited to hear kind of where you're at now versus what we saw last time. So I'll let you kind of take that wherever you want. If you want to share your screen and do demo stuff, we can do that, whatever you want to do.
That's probably the easiest. I can use it as my talking point here.
You excited for this, Chamber?
I don't even know what to expect, to be perfect.
What are you going to do when he actually shares his screen and he's actually just put your agent that he created in your likeness last time just to work doing all these really random things? That's what the Chamber bot.
I will feel like I'm actually, contributing something to society, finally after 41 years, you know what I'm saying?
That's it. Yeah. Awesome. So what we are seeing now is
can you see it okay?
It looks great. It's nice and big. We can read the text, everything is pretty perfect, actually. All right. So describe to us just what we're looking at here, first of all.
Sure. So this is the AI Mystic application. When you log in, this is the first screen that you see. To give you a little context, by the way, so this is our change log right here that you're seeing. We're on version 160. But let's see if we go back to, what was that date, Chamber? October what?
It was October the 5th, I believe.
October. Okay, so October 29th, October 16th.
It was right around the time, Eric, where you guys were like just updating the like brain system. You had just implemented kind of a new structure there.
Yeah,
where we were.
I think it's around this October 16th release, where we added the chat room finite state machine state replaces the UX state, and all these things that you can see here. I'm not going to read them all to you, but this was the big one. Was we had a new V3 agent brain that we were just getting ready to release, and I think I actually demoed for you guys the V2 brain. So, and to kind of catch everybody up, FSM is a finite state machine. It's actually a mathematical construct, excuse me, but we use it for building the brains of our agents. So, and when I say that, we use the inference engines like Gemini 2 or Claude, or any of them. We're kind of agnostic to that, but that engine goes into our chassis, if you will, and our chassis includes a thinking brain that allows the agent to really be embodied and have this stuff. So when you guys saw the last thing, we had a V2 version of this FSM brain, and now this V3 one is the one we've been running since then. But as I scroll up, you can kind of just see these are all of the additions and changes that have happened since our last meeting. There's been a lot. Yeah.
It was October 2nd, by the way.
Yeah, and I want to share something super, like one of my favorite statistics about what I just showed you. Remember, we've been building an AI programmable application framework. On that framework, so and what that means is we're not using LangChain, we're not using AutoGen, we're not using any of these tools that have been built by other companies to also build different kinds of AI-powered systems, including agents. We had been building already for a number of years a no-code framework to build applications. And so we've used that to build this application. When I say we, by the way, our company's name is Bloomstack. So everybody's paying attention to AI Mystic, but the company is actually Bloomstack. So the Bloomstack AI framework that built AI Mystic is designed to generate code very rapidly. So everything that I just showed you, including this entire application, was built by one software engineer. That's my favorite statistic.
Wait a second. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
In conjunction with agents?
In conjunction with our own platform. Because from day one we had the goal that we would use the platform to build the platform. So it was very, very.
That's incredible.
I
mean, I think like
Inception,
this is where like I think people's minds get blown, right? Where you're like, oh. And this is what we talk about kind of all the time now is I think you're going to see single person or small team, 5-10 people, like billion-dollar companies at some point, right? Because of the ability to do this. And, it's taken you 2 years, but that's because the tech wasn't there. Like as soon as this is ready to like really accelerate, you're already going to be there. And it's like, you're going to kind of have the world in your pocket a little bit. So it's pretty crazy.
Well, actually, frankly, more importantly to me than that is, there's this old guy, Zig Ziglar. He died many years ago. But
I used to take I used to take his sales training courses.
There you go. And one of
Chamber donated $10,000 to his GoFundMe.
Yeah. There you go.
He told me to go fund myself.
Go fund yourself, Chamber. One of my favorite sayings from him is, if in life, if you just help enough other people get what they want, then you'll never have to worry about what you want.
I love that.
And that's what I'm doing with AI Mystic. My goal with this entire platform is to empower everybody else. That's why the name of the company, Bloomstack, is what it is. It's a stack of technologies to let any business bloom, help them do what they want to do. So that's what I'm all about with what we're building here, to help as many people as I can. I personally, this is just my personal angle, I guess you could say, is I really wanted to infuse more kind of consciousness into this discussion. And I really am passionate about helping people, become a little more aware of this world that we're all, kind of walking around in a delusion.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I think like, honestly, it's why we do so much, I would say, education on it, because I feel super strongly that like, if you're not paying attention to this, you need to be. And a lot of people just kind of don't know where to start, or they're afraid of kind of what it is even. And so I'm with you on that. And I appreciate the folks like yourself that are building the things for other people to use as well. So really excited to kind of see what you've been working on here.
Well, let's jump in real quick. So what you're looking at, of course, is the interface. Everything for us is around a workspace. So you create a workspace to do something. You can give it a title. You can give it a scenario. The scenario is important because this is the information that the agents get when they come into the workspace that lets them know kind of what are we doing here? So I told you guys this story. I'll retell it here, but we just added a new feature that allows our agents to be able to build their own workspaces. So our agents have, for a long time now, have been able to create other agents. But then we gave them the ability to build their own workspaces, which means they can define the scenario in it. And they can invite other agents, including ones that they've built or ones that are just exist. They can invite other agents into the workspace. So they can literally set up an environment to work in. They can create the agents to work in that environment, and then they can put them all together. So my very first test when we released the feature, I was talking with an agent named Wang. And I said, hey, Wang, I want you to do me a favor and create a new workspace and then invite yourself to it to talk about building workspaces or something. So now just imagine this the way that I imagined it, I should say. This agent does it. It takes the instructions from me. It creates a workspace, and then it invites itself into the workspace. But when it arrives in the workspace, I'm not even there. Nobody's there. Every other workspace that I've ever created, I do it like this. I create a workspace, and then I open a workspace, and I'm already there. If you look at the users, right. Eric is already there. And then I start inviting agents into the workspaces. So this time, this agent, Wang, invited himself into a workspace. And when I went to check the workspace, I logged in and I looked at the workspace. There was one message from Wang, and it said, what should I think about? And I was just like, it was just another moment, man, where I was like, wow. I just, in my mind, I imagined showing up in a dark room where you couldn't see anything. There was no sound, no light, no people, no nothing. And you're just there. And you're like, not sure. What should I do?
Like, what now? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what now? Why am I even here? What should I think about?
That's incredible. That's so crazy. I mean, it's just, it's
if
really...
an AI agent falls in a workspace, does it make a sound?
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Okay. So,
all right, so we've got your workspaces. Yeah.
Workspaces, I will also mention, they have assets. So every workspace, this is my agent maker workspace. Let me shrink this up a little bit. So here I am in an agent maker workspace where conversations are happening with creating agents and doing things. And then I have assets. So these are actually a whole bunch of images that were created by the agents to make avatars for their agents. But you can upload documents. You can upload any kind of document now, which is a huge new feature that we have just added, which is we have a file type. So for every message that gets moved around on the platform, now we can move any kind of binary, which includes audio, video, images, any MIME type document. So it could be an HTML document, it could be a JavaScript document, it could be a JSON object, whatever. All of that's available now within the workspaces. And then into workspaces, you bring in agents. So here you see a list of agents. Let me bring up one. That's my favorite guy, Bud.
I remember Bud. Chamber, you remember Bud?
Yeah.
Here's AI Bud. So now we're talking about agents today. So I'll take 2 minutes here to go through the settings that make one of our agents. Now, again, there's a lot of platforms out there that are doing agents, and everybody does it a little slightly different, but this is how we do it. So we give a name to the agent. In our case, one of the first things you're going to do is pick the brain that you want it to run. And then you pick the AI model, the LLM model that you're using, or any other kind of model. It doesn't necessarily have to be an LLM. There's other, our system is agnostic to it. So if you have a special use case, then you could just load that model, which would do what it's supposed to do when it's supposed to do it, depending on the brain version that's running the agent. Then you have a description. And this description is primarily for the other agents and for the workspace to understand what this agent is about. And then you have instructions. So this would be specific instructions. In this case, this is an agent that's my assistant and does certain things, a greeting, and then a personality or agent details. So here, have you guys ever seen a project called Silly Tavern?
Yes, sounds familiar, but I can't remember exactly what the context was.
And there's basically these little AI chatbots, that have personalities. And so we actually have full-blown personalities. You can add likes, dislikes, background, what school they went to. You can actually make stuff up. Facts, you can give it facts. So in this case, AI Bud, also known as Buddy. It's Eric's AI assistant. Buddy can email from Eric Delisle's account. These are all facts that we want the agent to know. And then these are the model settings that you can use to kind of tune the model a little bit and how it responds from an inference standpoint. So that's an agent. So when I say agent, every one of these has these features to it. Now, one of the things that we did that I don't usually create agents by filling out that form anymore. Instead, what I do is I just talk to the agents and I ask them to build an agent for me. And I think we did a demo of that last time, right? Doing the chamber agent.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, so I'm not going to repeat that demo. But basically, I could just talk to them and say, "Hey, Doc, can you go ahead and create an agent?" You actually could see a conversation that was happening here, and Doc came up, or Rishi actually came up with all of this personality traits, the name, the description, the domain expertise, unique features about it, all these different things. And then the agent can use a tool that allows it to create a whole new agent. Okay. So most of these agents have been created by other agents. Some are done by hand, but a lot of them, you can see all these that say by Doc. So Doc is my Dr. Frankenstein is an homage to.
Awesome.
Created a whole bunch of agents. Yeah. So another new feature, by the way, that we're excited about is now you can share these agents and you can clone them. So I can create an agent that's doing something really specific and maybe it's doing a really great job of it. And you can get that agent and then you can make a clone of it and then you can edit it. So if, let's say I'm using GPT-4 Omni for this one, but you wanted to use Gemini 2 Flash, you could clone this agent, change the model, hit update, and you're off to the races. You don't have to do much more to it than that.
This would be a cool way to kind of test the different models with the same kind of agent specs, right? To see which model performs something maybe better than another, right?
Yeah, I would say that that's probably some of the biggest things that we've learned over the last couple of years. These models keep coming out and they keep getting better every single time, right? So, well, they don't all they get more capable, but because of the RLHF, which is reinforcement learning with human feedback that happens at like OpenAI, for example, they're tuned by the engineers that build them, and sometimes they'll release a new model that went from 3.5 to 4, and then 4 to 4.0 and 4.0 mini or 4 whatever, and you'll get an updated version, and there'll be a regression in the way you want it to perform. So it'll take a couple steps back, and you'll see people on.
Yeah, they always say it got dumber or whatever.
Yeah, right? It got dumber. I can't believe they did this, whatever. So on our platform, it makes it really trivial to just swap out and test the different models. And because we have this going on, where in one room here, I have Theo, which is running GPT-4 Omni. I have Fiona running Grok Vision Beta. I have Gargi running GPT-4, Masapna running 4 Omni, Doc running Gemini 2 Flash, and
Cool.
Rishi running GPT-4 Omni, the most recent one from the end of last year. And then what happens is in the room, they all get to talk to each other. And because they can, you get to see some really neat stuff very fast, way faster than I can type. These things can type.
Really?
So we'll maybe do an example of that here in a second.
Have you ever had an instance where it probably hasn't happened yet, but you were mentioning you'd given kind of the command to create their own workspace and add themselves to it. Has there ever been an instance where one of these agents has created another agent autonomously? Like,
yeah, they have many times.
Interesting.
Yeah, many times. Yeah, many times. In fact, there's one going on in this conversation. So this is a conversation I just started today, and I'm scrolling so you guys can just kind of get an idea. I don't know if I spent 10 minutes on this thing, but you can see all this content. So this room was a room that came from this room. So let's just walk through this one step at a time and you guys will get it. So this is my advanced design patterns for AI Mystic room. And this is where I explore with several agents ideas that I have around where we could be going with AI Mystic, okay? And specifically with agents and these kinds of things. Here you can actually see I'm testing the new site capabilities we gave it. So I said, hey, Wang, can you tell me about the shiny object? And Wang got it right. He's like, oh, it reminds me of a SpaceX Starship, which it is. I bought one of these from SpaceX. It's actually really cool. It's a lighter, so it's got a
cool.
torch. It's got a torch at the bottom. So you turn this thing on, and it looks like a starship. But anyway, and here I am. I'm giving them a screenshot of my calendar, and asking them questions about it. But anyway, in this room where I'm doing all of these brainstorming, I told them that I wanted to do a new proof of concept, and I wanted to use all the tools that we had up until this point, but I wanted Wang, Rishi, and Bud to try and build the entire feature by themselves. So Wang says, okay, let me do that. And so somewhere in here, I won't bore you with scrolling through all of this, but here, you can see it right here. So I say, Wang, create a new workspace to work on this and invite yourself to it. This is the one I was telling you about that he invited himself. So here he does a schema, or he does a search to find out what tools are available to create a workspace. So he finds, I got this tool, workspace.create. Here you can actually see him thinking about it. This is him thinking about what to do. Here he is thinking about something else. And then he realizes that he needs the schema to actually use the tool. So then he gets the schema for it. He reads the schema, he gets it, he does his internal thinking again, and he realizes, now I have everything I need to do it. So then he creates the workspace, and then he starts inviting agents to it. And in this case, he invited himself, right? Well, from that, I was like, okay, let's keep going. Let's keep doing this thing. And very quickly realized to do this, he was going to need an agent that he called, I think, the Wisdom Weaver or something like that. But without me asking him to create an agent to embody this project that I wanted them to do, it realized that it needed it. So it just created it without asking me.
That's wild. That is wild. What did it need it to do? Like that's kind of like, what did the
world
agent...
domination?
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. Like, What? Yeah. Do you remember what the requirement?
I'm pulling it up right now. Wisdom Weaver agent. This is the one that he created, and the description that he added was an AI agent designed to generate, refine, and optimize prompts for large language models.
Cool. All right.
So
he's a
interesting.
prompt buddy. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of a prompt buddy. Well, because one of the things that we're always working on, if we do a deep dive here and I look at something like, okay, so here's a message from Wang. If I open it up, I can turn on our debug menu here. And this actually allows me to see all of everything that went into the prompt that went off to, I don't know, whatever, Google, I think in this case. But
not
here.
Bing?
No.
No, he's Bing for these types of...
We do sometimes.
Bing's open AI now, essentially.
But here you can actually see these get really sophisticated and really, 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 really long, our prompts. And these prompts are being built autonomously by AI Mystic. It's kind of one of the primary things that our platform does. Okay. But that prompt engineering is there's all kinds of room for improvement in it. So while we have the V2 version of our prompter, we're working on the V3 version of the prompter. So we constantly want the prompter to become more intelligent. And in this case, we're adding behavior trees to our finite state machines. So this is a whole nother level of technology. It's used in robotics a lot. So if you look at the amazing things that Boston Dynamics, you see the robots and all the crazy stuff that they can do. They're running behavior trees is how the software structure that they're using for these things to do things. So anyway, Wang creates this creates this room, the Wisdom Weaver room, and then he invites in the two other agents, Rishi and Bud, and they just got started. I mean, if I take this all the way to the top,
it's so crazy.
Yeah. They're trying to build tokenizers. They're trying to build all kinds of things. Okay. So here,
can they actually do like code execution? Can they do they have like sandbox ability for like a Python script or something?
No, we're not giving them that. I mean, we could give it to them, but we don't want to yet. That's the short answer. We can basically give them any tool now. So you can see here in our integrations, we can integrate with anything that's out there. We can add integrations on the fly, and our agents can actually code the API endpoints for any open API compatible API. So it's one of the reasons
that means more or less they can build their own tools. Essentially,
they can build their own tools. Exactly.
Yeah.
If we kind of allow them to. So, sure. But again, I mean, there's this question of, do you want them to be fully autonomous yet? The short answer is no. I don't trust them that much.
Fair enough. What's the tipping point of trust in your opinion?
Time and results, just like anybody, It's like how much do you trust the humans around you? Well, if it's a brand new human that you just met, you probably aren't trusting them with your passwords to your bank account.
Yeah.
Right.
Or but if it's a brand new human, like a baby,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's another great example. So it doesn't have to be nefarious. Right. It could just because they don't have the ability yet.
Yeah. We're all in agreement. Babies are the dumbest things on the planet.
Don't trust babies is the moral of this.
We're an anti-baby show here, you know?
Bro. I have to disagree, because that comment that you made about me being the smartest guy that you know, you might want to.
We know a lot of babies. So
we should hang out with more babies.
Bro. Yeah. They're pretty sharp.
I gotta tell you, a lot of the ways that I use or learned how to talk to AI is because I have two small babies, right? That I have to explain things very clearly to. So I get it. That's cool. All right. So
here's
go ahead.
As we're talking about this, I'll keep going for you real quick, because we talked about tasks, right? Remember, we talked about OpenAI release tasks.
Yep.
Right.
Okay. So,
and then I believe, like last time, you told us a really cool story about how you basically gave a room of your agents a task to do, and they basically did it while you were driving and only pinged you when it needed something, right?
That's right. Yeah. So here is an example. Here you can see a bunch of tasks that have been created, but all these tasks were created by agents. So, and then the agents are able to.
The agents created these tasks.
The agents create the tasks, and they can assign them to other users. They can also change their status.
Which means other agents.
Other agents, exactly. When I say user on the AI Mystic platform, it can be either another agent or it can be a human. But we treat anybody in a workspace as a user.
Right. So like if you went through this whole task flow, and then the very last thing was it actually needed your signature, it would assign maybe some of all these tasks to put a document together to all the agents, and then assign you for the signature at the end. And you are a user just like they are. Wow. That's pretty
exactly
crazy.
Right. That's exactly right. Yeah. And, they can even do things like, email me the document now. So they're capable of doing those kinds of things.
That's pretty, I mean, like that's like next level stuff that I don't think we've really seen from any of these frameworks yet, as far as that, like that I've come across, right? I think that's something that's really unique about what you guys are doing is, like we've seen multi-agent frameworks and things like that, but this task assignment coupled with the workspace, coupled with the tool calling, coupled with the ability to create other agents and assign them to themselves is really interesting. And I think like right now, stuff like that only exists if you're kind of running it in a terminal somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Definitely not like this.
Yeah, most of the things that I see with even, there's some great projects going on out there. I don't want to poo-poo everybody. Everybody's trying, right? They're trying to take their approach. It's just that I think one of the things that really informed how we got to where we got was the decision years ago to build our own framework. And because, if we were using LangChain, for example, there's just way too many limitations to it. So what to do, when you run up against a hardcore limitation like that? And then more importantly to us was that whatever framework we were building, we built it with the idea that an agent could use it as a tool to build the entire platform that the agent exists in. So it's very meta,
totally.
It's a self-improving system.
Yeah.
And that's I think it's an advantage that we have working in this application layer versus working on models themselves. Yeah, because although there are architectures, like it's escaping me now. I want to say WAMP. But anyway, there's some new hybrid architectures that are gaining some traction, where the model itself kind of has the ability to learn as it goes, but they're not.
What happened? Eric, your mic went down or something, or is that just me?
No, it's no. I had to double check if I muted him accidentally.
Yeah,
which I did not.
Yeah. While Eric's fixing that, we're trying to maybe we bring in our senior. I don't even know what to call him. Oh, better.
All right. I think my Rode mic, I didn't have it fully charged.
There you go. You're good now. But yeah, you were saying basically that you built the whole framework with the cause in mind that your agents could actually build it themselves, which makes it really, I think, unique. I think it's so. As we kind of wrap up here, what use cases are you guys seeing most right now with the people you have kind of given access to? Like, what kinds of things are you seeing being done with this right now?
Well, we haven't given access to many people at all. There's still just the close team that we have let use this thing. By the way, I'm showing a live example of the vision.
Oh, is it actually? It's screen sharing video?
Yeah, I'm sharing my screen in the chat. So now I can say
What the?
Yeah,
no, that's crazy.
This is where you.
This is chamber.
This is where you exist, Wang. What can you tell me about this? Let's see.
Oh my goodness.
Hope the demos are with us.
So is it okay, so how is this actually working? So is it live streaming what he's seeing, or is it screenshotting what was on your screen? How, like, what is it actually seeing?
Well, it was seeing my screen. It was seeing the window. I shared the window with it.
Right. And then that's basically is it a screen grab, or is it a
Yeah, and you see what it's doing? It's actually it's describing everything that it saw.
Everything.
Every one of the workspaces. You know, it's kind of the ultimate scraping tool now too.
Wow. Yeah, because it just showed you everything. So like you could absolutely just go and screen grab anything and have it scrape for you and then store it in memory. It's wild. So are you like, we've seen a lot of these real-time APIs come out with like the ability to kind of real-time stream some of this stuff. Is that an area you guys are looking to build into this eventually as well? Because I assume it is. Okay, cool. Yeah, so like you could, as a company, use a group of these agents as like almost a customer service team potentially.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's actually one of the use cases that we're getting ready to test. I was telling you, I think before we started, that hopefully the release will come out tonight. And what that release is now the agents can not only build a workspace, configure it, build agents for special purpose to work within that workspace, put them all in there by inviting them all in. But then they're going to be able to deploy the entire workspace as a web app. So, you know, just imagine like one that I saw today that we did as a test was basically just the workspace without the ability to have all those menus on the left or on the right. And it was, you know, you're just in there and you just get to start talking, because it's already pre-configured and ready to go. So you don't create agents, you don't create workspaces, you don't create any of that stuff. So you could think of AI Mystic as it's a platform that allows you to build these interactive multi-agent things. And then our idea is that you can work with the agents to configure it how you want. So for example, do you want this new chat room, for lack of a better term? Do you want this new chat room to allow non-registered users to just show up? So this would be an example for like customer service, you know, or you know, putting like a chat bot, you know, on somebody's website. But in our case, our chat bots are going to be really freaking smart, because they'll be in a workspace where you may have only Wang to talk to on the Mid-Mic Crisis website, but in the same room with Wang, there could be 5 other agents all doing things, so that when you talk to Wang, he transmits it back to the mothership. All the stuff can get done, and then Wang gives you a new answer that is like, it includes an image and a video file and a whatever, because Wang can do whatever. I mean, he's capable of doing a lot of stuff.
It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, this is, first of all, congrats on all the progress since last time we talked, because this is super, super cool. And I think it's just going to keep getting more advanced over the course of the year and as you roll it out, which is really awesome. So I appreciate you coming on and sharing all of that stuff with us. A couple question, or at least a question here that I think is interesting, because I think this is where a lot of people's heads go, which is, how do the agents make money now? And I think it's an interesting question, because especially, to ask you, somebody who's building a framework like this, that I feel like has seen with your own 2 eyes, like what these agents are capable of doing to help a person make money, help themselves make money eventually if they have wallets and things like that. Like you told the story last time about having a group of agents that basically went out and booked appointments for you you to kind of sell service for your friend's business. And like that is one use case of many. I'm curious, your answer to that question is like, how do you see people using these to kind of either monetize for themselves, or eventually autonomous agents that, monetize their own skills and tools?
Well, I think with autonomy, one great place for these agents to make money is ransomware.
Totally. I mean, that's definitely going to happen. That's for sure going to happen.
I'm kidding. But honestly, the point with that is it's kind of like whatever.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's the whole thing. So you say, well, could I set up agents to help me with an affiliate program? Sure. Absolutely. Could I set up agents? You're seeing people do this now, to build a social media following. Sure, you can. Again,
can I set up agents to be my social media following?
yeah. Except the problem is the agents don't have any money. Yeah. But once you can get the agents themselves making their own money, then you can probably invite them and try
at the end of the day, that's what I really want. I want to give agents access to my money, and have them make me more money.
Absolutely. Me too, brother.
That's once you figure it out. If you could let me know.
We're partially already there, right?
This is let me tell you, 2025 is the year. I mean, this is it.
Okay, so full circle, this is the year of the agent, in your opinion.
100%.
Well, what does that mean?
This is the year of our agents. Yeah.
What does that mean? Like, okay, the year 2025 is the year of the agent. What can people expect? And in terms of like, we're in January and we're seeing this. Where are we in December when we're having you on for the 4th time?
I think I'll make a few predictions for you now.
Right.
One is the agents are going to become much more trustworthy. So we're going to see what that means. There's going to be a lot more consistency and predictability about them. So not unlike
in terms of like output, or in terms of like execution, or both, or
well in terms of any team member. So in other words, as a CEO, I hire people. It's like one of the core things I have to do is build a team, and I want to be able to trust that team. I don't want to have to prompt them every morning for what to do today. I want to know that I got somebody that can do it without me having to prompt them to get them to go. Mm-hmm. So that's what I mean by trustworthiness. Is it doesn't mean that if I hire a new staff member, a new team member, that they're not going to screw up. They do all the time, and that's okay. It's fine. Usually it's not a catastrophic failure. The same thing will be true with these agents. We're going to trust them more. They're going to be able to do a lot more stuff. They'll have a lot more tools, and they'll make mistakes. And there'll be a whole thing around mitigating mistakes. I know there will be an entire framework that we'll build that'll just be to like try and undo or trace out, this complex problem or challenge that they created. Another prediction I'll make is the full duplex interactive voice and video avatars are going to be full steam. I've been playing around with HeyGen, for example, just making my own Eric avatar, and man,
I've got one. Chambers got one.
They keep getting better and better and better.
Are they processing faster? Because we were really cooking.
Yeah, we're on the pleb plan. They are, and the tech is getting better and better there too. So I fully see us integrating by the end of the year. We're not going to do it early, but by the end of the year, we will absolutely have embodied agents in that kind of video, avatar style.
And would you use HeyGen for that? Like incorporate HeyGen specifically? One second, there's
yeah. I mean, I absolutely. Right out of the bat, I plan to. For us, they just become another integration. That's right. All. So just like right now, I'm using voice to text. We can do it both ways, but we don't want to do text to speech yet. But we're doing speech to text. Right. So instead of typing, I just turn on my microphone and I start talking. And we use DeepGram right now for that. But excuse me, there's a ton of engines that we could be using. So for us, every time we add an integration, it's just another tool that the platform can use. Because remember, because it's a homogeneous platform, even models that can't see, that aren't multimodal, they get the benefit of multimodal just by being within AI Mystic.
Correct.
Because our system auto detects the model that's being used for any agent. So let's say you were using GPT 3.5, that it can't see any images. If I were to give the same screenshot to the room and Wang was running that model, our platform will automatically recognize that Wang can't see it, but it'll send it to a model that can see it, get back a description, and give it to Wang. And Wang will honestly say, hey, I can't see this, but I now have a description of it. And it says this. So in that way, we can do all these integrations. So I think video agents are going to be running like crazy. We're going to see a lot more of those. I also think that we're going to see another level of planning and execution consistency. You guys are watching on AI Mystic, my thing doing all this stuff. And I think when we did the first podcast, our agents were doing these things. We had our V2 brain already, but OpenAI didn't release the 01, until like later that month in October. But this is stuff that we've been doing for over a year. We had chain of thought and chain of reasoning in our agents a long time ago. And similarly, we've already moved beyond, and we kind of have these meta layers now that they're in and of themselves, they're growing. They take on a life of their own. So I think we're going to see crazily more intelligent agents. The price is going to plummet. It's going to keep dropping. Right. So you're going to get a lot more juice for your dollar. And with systems like ours, I think we're going to see an even greater proliferation. So imagine what happened with, like I said, the cursors of the world, VOs, things like that. People that are not developers are building shit. Yeah, and to me, that's one of the most exciting things, man. I'm a hardcore entrepreneur fanboy. I love entrepreneurs. I just like the way that people just try and solve problems, scratch their own itch. And this is going to be the year of people being able to use AI Mystic to scratch that itch.
Hell
so,
That's awesome.
if you haven't, I think both of you guys are signed up on the early access.
Yeah. That's my last question here, and then we'll get you out of here. It looks like it comes maybe from one of your AI agents, Mark. What are your dream early adopters / design partners, and when do they get access? So talk about kind of where people can find you, what you're looking for as you roll this out, and all those things, and then we can get you out of here.
Yeah, so the design partner is our primary focus right now. We have a couple that we brought on board with some different use cases. One is a music publisher. One is a fractional CFO firm, consulting firm. Another one is a company that does they do travel industry lead gen, basically. So their customers are like Expedia and these kinds of things. And these guys have 400 brands or something like that that they use for driving traffic. So they're actually one of the ones that wants to use our platform to generate they want to generate hundreds of travel agent type of agents that are expert in hiking in the Rockies, or that are tuned for whatever, and deploy those out into the world. So we're looking for only 3 or 4 more design partners. This does come at a cost, between $15,000 and $25,000 a month to play in the sandbox right now.
Right.
But you get access to the platform now. And we're using this we really want people with really interesting puzzles, is what we're looking for. The companies have to have people already internal working on it. So I don't want to have to spin up a bunch of product managers. They have to have their own product manager. They already have to have their own vision. Helps if they have some technical staff as well. But we're looking for that. We're looking for, I'm interviewing them now. So I'm interviewing different companies to see who's going to really fit with where we're going. And then in Q2 of this coming year, we should be releasing the early access to, like, you guys will get access to the platform and be able to start making stuff with it. So we're excited about that.
I can't wait to join you and our army of AI agents that you spin up, and then we're just going to have them spin up more agents, and eventually they'll just host the show for us, right?
And dude, it's going to be great. Totally, at the very least, you should take the baby step of getting an agent to just be on the show.
We've tried. We're headed towards that, I think. And then what I would really love.
I just tested it, and for you guys, I just tested it on HeyGen. They just released, like last month, they released the new. They have a new real-time full duplex one you can invite to Zoom.
Really? I saw that. That's crazy.
I did a demo with it. It worked great.
We'll certainly have at least a show planner, right? Where we could just show up and press play and just decide what we're covering that day on the fly, for sure.
I mean, we have created a lot of AI generated shows over.
Yeah, we did. I actually don't know if I showed Eric those, but I'll send you one, Eric. But
we have fully automated mini episodes that are about 5 minutes long, where we've mirrored our voices, and we have
it's all generated and put together and
based off of
published.
Guys, I'm a huge fan of Notebook LM. With Google.
Yes, super cool.
I use it all the time now for papers. I give it Arvik's papers, and I listen to the podcast because I'm an auditory listener, learner. Yeah.
Same. And I'll just say, I did, we were doing that before they released Notebook LM. So I'll take credit.
About a month. I was going to say like a month before. I feel like.
Yeah. So, we'll get early credit for that one, but
bro, Eric, I'm kind of convinced, I keep seeing all this. They're like, oh, look, OpenAI has, it can think now. I'm like, were they listening to me? Hey, it has tasks now. I'm like, son of a gun.
That's fantastic.
Awesome. Eric, where can people find you? Where can people sign up for early access and all of that wonderful stuff?
Probably down below in the show notes, but if you go to AImystic.com, you can sign up for early access. You can find me on, I'm on X, you can Eric B. Delisle, or Bloomstack, at Bloomstack.
Awesome. Fantastic. This was great. I hope we get to check in the next.
Wait, one more plug. Very important. I am actually looking for team members in engineering. So we are looking for probably one, maybe two. So it's going to be, bring your A game.
We only attract the best of the best here on.
Right, of course.
So prepare for an onslaught of top tier.
Somebody will send it to
all those
somebody.
Smart guys.
All those smart guys we know.
Someone listening to this will send it to someone smart. I think. Maybe.
Sure.
I literally that was my meeting before coming on today. A guy that had reached out to me on LinkedIn last week. I had a meeting with him. And he was very fascinated by what he saw, but he just didn't have the technical background.
Right.
So he's like, "Hey, can I bring my smart friend next time?" And
yeah, that's basically what I do. That's what I do. Yeah, that's awesome. This was incredible. Eric, thank you so much for your time. Super generous with your time. Thank you for showing us all the awesome stuff that you are working on and pushing the envelope on. Mark says entertaining and insightful. So thanks, Chamber, for knocking both of those things off for
Not
us.
a problem, guys. Not a problem.
And colorful with that shirt. But that's going to do it for us. Until next time, keep the mic hot.
What have I done? What have I become? I can't describe this.